Hi, my name is Reverend Donna, and I am excited to be sharing with you our January talks for Wednesday evenings. I want to talk about what we traditionally call in religious science or the New Thought movement within our faith tradition, or back to basics, where we tend to talk about the first four chapters of the Science of Mind. We believe that the first four chapters of the Science of Mind text has an incredible amount of information, and it gives the foundation of what we believe and how we choose to show up in the world. So the first four chapters are called The Thing Itself, The Way It Works, What It Does, and How to Use It. And tonight or this afternoon, I will be focusing on the thing itself and what that means to us spiritually, as well as what it means in our everyday life. One of the things that drew me to New Thought over 30 years ago was because it was a practical application of spirituality. It was a practical application of Christianity, of the faiths that I had studied as I was younger and growing up, unofficially and a little bit officially, formally. But when I found my way to Science of Mind, and back then it was called the Church of Religious Science, now it's called Centers for Spiritual Living, because we are part of what's called the New Thought traditions. And those include unity, Christian science, um, religious science, divine science. There's a couple of different faith traditions that make up the New Thought movement. And Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of religious science, wrote a text called The Science of Mind. And that is the text that we often study, we quote from. You'll find, depending on the person who's speaking, you might find different faith traditions all within a talk, a Sunday morning message, or a lesson. Oftentimes they're called lessons. Um, and what it is an opportunity to practice what we believe in our everyday life here and now, how to transform our lives into a um, a life that we choose. Oftentimes, you'll hear the term metaphysics or new thought, um, and we have this opportunity to truly transform our lives and step into a life that we co-create with a higher idea, with a higher power, with God. And that's what I want to talk about today in the thing itself, because in the science of mind and spirit, which is the basis of the tradition that I follow and that I tend to teach from, is that truth that is underlying many different faith traditions. Ernest Holmes studied a lot of different faith traditions, and he pulled from those faith traditions the nuggets that he saw that were similar. It was almost like a golden thread that went through all of the different faith traditions, and he pulled from those. So you might hear a Sufi story, or you might hear a um, Hindu story or Native American story or a parable from the Bible. There's a variety of different uh, belief systems that we could pull from. Ernest Holmes taught that we're open from the top, that we will continue to evolve. So when he was teaching in a way that we could utilize these lessons and these beliefs in conjunction with a particular faith tradition we might already be practicing. And in the beginning, Ernest Holmes taught a lot of classes. He did lectures, and um, eventually he created a faith movement called Church of Religious Science, or Centers for Spiritual Living. But in that first reality, that first study time for Ernest, he was lecturing. He was encouraging people to apply these principles in their lives now instead of waiting for an afterlife. And the gift in that is that we have an opportunity to practice what we believe now. And we are empowered to create a life that we choose to live. And we're encouraged to do it quietly. Many times you will see us living our lives and not talking about our faith. We don't proselytize. We don't judge. We uh, wait for people to ask us, I see things great in your life. What's working for you? And then we can share. Or we might invite someone to listen to a talk with us, or attend some kind of an event within New Thought as a way to introduce people, but it's not an aggressive form of reaching out. It's more passive. And I like that. I'm drawn to that in my own faith beliefs. I truly believe in having a faith practice that is personal to you. And Ernest Holmes taught love and he taught law. He taught love points the way, law makes it possible. He taught that there's that opportunity to truly turn within and feel the divine within us. He also taught law, which is there's a principle that works for everybody and it doesn't play favorites. And you can think of it out in nature with electricity. If I plug in a light into a light socket, it's going to turn on. It's not going to say, well, I'm not so sure I want to do it for Donna, but maybe I will for Susan. And it just does it. It doesn't know to think differently, it just does it. So that's kind of a little bit about the law, and you'll learn more about that later on in the month, because each Wednesday I'm going to talk about a different topic. So tonight I want to focus on the thing itself, or love, because there's that truth that's within each and every one of us that's the God presence. Ernest Holmes had many words for God: love, spirit, Christ, wisdom, beauty, infinite presence, one mind, life. There's a variety of words that we utilize when we're talking about the divine. But the one thing he did teach is that the divine is within all of us, that there is that truth of who we are, and to recognize and know that there's a divine plan of freedom for each one of us, and to have that opportunity to step into that truth now. Ernest Holmes said that life is not just something to be endured, but it is to be lived in joy and a fullness without limit. That limit is something that we impart on life. I truly believe that. It's what we believe that shows up. Just like in the Bible, when it talks about ask and you shall receive, you must do the asking in order to receive, but you also have to be receptive to receiving. So I might ask for something and then doubt that it will happen, or wonder if I should have asked for something different. So we're asked to truly go within and know what it is we want to express, what it is that we want to experience. The thing itself is that seed of freedom that's indwelling from within all of us. God is an indwelling God. God is within all of us, all of creation. It's unique, and it is an amazing opportunity to touch the divine that's within us. Joseph Campbell says we must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned, or let go of the life we've planned. I've heard it two different ways, so as to have the life that's waiting for us. So we get to co-create with the divine. And another reason why I love the fact that we tend to go back to basics in January. It's the start of a new year. There's an opportunity to release the past, step into something new, whatever it might be that is calling itself forth to express. And it's still the winter months. It's the second month of winter. So we still have that dormant time where we're contemplating and reflecting and having that opportunity to enter in the quiet and the stillness, to really truly feel and hear and know what it is we want to embrace in this new year. I recently looked up the history of January, the month that's this month, and what it means, what the symbolization is. And I learned that January was actually named after the Roman god Janus, because Janus was known as the protector of gates and doorways, symbolizing beginnings and endings. So if you think about January, we're at the end of the previous year and we're beginning into the new year. So there's an ending and a new beginning happening. Janus is also depicted as having two faces, one looking to the past, with the other looking to see into the future. And that again is a symbolization for me of contemplating that which I'm ready to let go of and that which I want to embrace. And I'm in that space of still reflecting and contemplating, figuring out what that might be. Interesting that I was born in January. I'm a January baby. I'm a Capricorn. And I was actually due in March, which, according to the traditional Roman calendar, March was the first month of the year. January and February were added later, and I was born in January. And back in 1970, that was a preemie. I was 3 pounds something ounces, so I was a preemie. I was tiny. So even in my life, when I reflect, I often don't think of January 1 is when I want to make my New Year's intentions. I don't call them resolutions. I sometimes wait until my birthday, gives me a couple extra days to really contemplate what it is I want to call forth into the new year. What is maybe the word I want to choose for the year, or um, maybe there's a project I'm feeling called to work on that year. Whatever it might be, I tend to wait until the 11th to really solidify what's in my prayer practice, what's in my spiritual practice that's calling itself forth. So I'm going to encourage each of you to think about what's important to you, as well as set your own intentions for what it is you want to experience in the new year. I know many Centers for Spiritual Living churches and other denominations do a lot of um, workshops on vision boards or intention setting or resolutions or revelations. There's different words that they use. So I'm going to ask you to think a little differently moving forward. When we think about the thing itself and the divine having its way within, through, and as us, I'm going to ask us to contemplate what we're feeling called to create. What is it that we want to co-create with our world? And where are we going to put our attention? There's a parable of the pearl. There's a story where a perfect pearl was found. And the person who found it wanted to display it for all the world to see. So they went to elaborate measures. They brought in the best wood they could find and order. They found the most beautiful velvet to place the pearl in. They did all this work and put all of this attention into what was holding the pearl, that they forgot to pay attention to the pearl itself and to recognize the beauty of this pearl. When we can think about our outer layers as that box and the velvet and the glass and the ornate um, box that's built and created, that's us, that's our body, that's who we are from an outside, how we recognize each other. But what if we paid more attention to that pearl that's inside the box? That pearl is the divine within us. It's the truth of who we are. And if we truly are to continue to evolve, as Ernest Holmes believed, how are we going to continue to evolve in our own spirituality and how we choose to show up in the world? Are we going to choose to come from a place of love, like Christ taught? Or are we going to choose to come from a place that maybe is a little different than that, whatever that might mean to you? I'm really going to ask us to think about the thing itself and the love that we are, the creative expression that we are in this moment, and to truly realize we have the opportunity for freedom to let these limitations go, to do the spiritual work, to step into our own power. I don't mean that egotistically, but to step into our own divine power and co-create something that's calling itself forth from within us. If we could get quiet enough, especially in this time of the year, I wonder what we might hear. I wonder what we might pay attention to. And I truly wonder how that empowerment would show up in our life. Again, please take this time to really step into the power of who you are. You are a divine child of God. We are all expressions of the divine, each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. There's that divine spark that is expressing beautifully, magnificently as light. And it's showing up within each one of us as us. The thing itself is that energy, that power, that presence, the love, the light, the joy that's within us. I invite us to take this time this week to ponder and reflect and pray on what the thing itself means to you. As I close in prayer, I give thanks. I give thanks for this time together. I give thanks for the power of prayer. I give thanks for recognizing there's a unity, there's a love, there's a light, there is a presence that is God expressing itself through each and every one of us. That I recognize and know there's a higher idea unfolding. I might not understand that higher idea. I might not have a full sense of what that higher idea is right now. And yet I know always there's a higher idea wanting to have its way within, through, and as each and every one of us. I am grateful for knowing this truth. I'm grateful for the grace of Spirit. I'm grateful for the light within me and the light within you, where we come together and we are one. I'm grateful for the love that I feel for our world and for one another. I'm grateful for recognizing and knowing that as I step into this truth, all that unfolds is unfolding in divine timing, in divine order, with grace, with love, and I'm grateful. I release my word into the law where I know it is done. I let it be, and so it is. Namaste until next week. Take care.